Once upon a time, in the lush, green kingdom of Fairwind, there was a small village named Eldoria. Nestled between rolling hills and sparkling rivers, Eldoria was a place where kindness and honesty flourished. But no one embodied these virtues more than a young girl named Elara. Elara was born to humble farmers. From a young age, she was known for her fairness and bravery. Her parents taught her the importance of being just and treating everyone equally, regardless of their status or wealth. Elara loved listening to her parents' stories about the legendary heroes who protected the innocent and ensured justice prevailed. One sunny morning, as Elara was playing near the edge of the forest, she heard a cry for help. Without hesitation, she ran towards the sound. There, she found a little fox trapped in a hunter's snare. With gentle hands, she freed the frightened animal. The fox looked at her with grateful eyes and said, "Thank you, kind girl. You have a heart of gold. One day your fairness will change the fate of many." Elara, surprised but delighted by the fox's words, returned home, her heart filled with a sense of purpose. Little did she know that her journey to becoming a folk hero had just begun. As Elara grew older, tales of her fairness spread throughout Eldoria. She became known for her wise and just decisions, settling disputes among villagers with a sense of equity that left everyone satisfied. But far beyond the peaceful village lay the grand castle of King Aric, a ruler who was neither fair nor just. King Aric was known for his greed and cruelty. He imposed heavy taxes on the villagers, took their land, and punished those who dared to speak against him. The people of Fairwind lived in fear, longing for a leader who would bring justice to their land. One fateful day, the king's soldiers arrived in Eldoria, demanding more taxes. The villagers, already struggling to make ends meet, were devastated. Elara, now a courageous young woman, could not stand by and watch her friends and family suffer. She decided to confront the king. Dressed in simple clothes, Elara made her way to the castle. She was determined to speak on behalf of her village, despite knowing the risks. As she stood before the imposing gates of the castle, the guards mocked her, but Elara remained resolute. "I demand to speak with King Aric," she declared, her voice unwavering. The guards, taken aback by her bravery, reluctantly allowed her in. Elara was led through the grand halls of the castle, her heart pounding with every step. Finally, she stood before the throne, where the king sat, surrounded by his advisors. King Aric looked at Elara with disdain. "Who are you to demand an audience with me?" he sneered. "I am Elara of Eldoria, and I come on behalf of my village," she replied, her voice strong. "The taxes you impose are unfair and unjust. The people of Fairwind are suffering. I ask you to show mercy and reduce the burden you have placed upon us." The king laughed cruelly. "And why should I listen to a mere peasant girl?" "Because," Elara said, meeting his gaze, "true strength lies in fairness and justice. A ruler who treats his subjects with respect and kindness will be loved and remembered, but a tyrant who rules with cruelty will be despised and forgotten." Her words struck a chord with the king's advisors, who had long grown weary of his oppressive rule. They began to murmur among themselves, nodding in agreement. King Aric, however, was not so easily swayed. "You have courage, girl," he admitted, "but courage alone will not change my mind." Elara's heart sank, but she did not give up. "Then I will find a way to prove to you that fairness is the greatest strength of all," she vowed. And with that, she left the castle, her mind racing with plans to bring justice to her beloved land. Determined to prove the power of fairness, Elara returned to Eldoria and gathered the villagers. She shared her encounter with the king and her plan to show that a just and fair community could thrive, even under the harshest conditions. The villagers, inspired by Elara's bravery, agreed to support her. They decided to hold a series of trials and challenges to demonstrate the principles of fairness and justice. Word of these trials spread quickly, and soon, people from neighboring villages came to witness and participate. The first trial was a test of honesty. Villagers were asked to find a hidden treasure, with the promise that those who found it would keep it. However, the treasure was hidden in a way that required cooperation and trust. Elara watched as the participants worked together, sharing their findings and ensuring everyone had a fair chance. In the end, the treasure was divided equally among all who participated, showcasing the strength of honesty and teamwork. The second trial tested the principle of kindness. Elara invited the villagers to bring whatever they could spare to help those in need. The response was overwhelming. People brought food, clothing, and other essentials, which were distributed to the poorest among them. The spirit of generosity and compassion filled the village, proving that kindness could unite and uplift a community. The final trial was a challenge of courage and fairness. A dispute had arisen between two neighboring villages over the ownership of a fertile piece of land. Elara proposed that representatives from both villages meet in Eldoria to present their case. She listened carefully to both sides, asking questions and seeking the truth. After much deliberation, she proposed a fair solution. The land would be shared, with each village taking turns to cultivate it. Both sides agreed, impressed by her wisdom and sense of justice. As the trials concluded, the villagers of Eldoria and beyond marveled at the power of fairness. Elara's actions had brought people together, resolved conflicts, and fostered a sense of community and trust. Despite the success of the trials, King Aric remained unconvinced. He saw the growing admiration for Elara as a threat to his power. Fearing that her influence might inspire rebellion, he devised a plan to undermine her. The king sent his most cunning advisor, Lord Malric, to Eldoria with an offer. If Elara could complete 3 impossible tasks, he would lower the taxes and consider her plea for fairness. However, if she failed, the village would suffer even harsher penalties. Elara, knowing that she had no choice but to accept, agreed to the king's terms. The first task was to retrieve a rare flower that only bloomed on the highest peak of the Crystal Mountains, a place few dared to venture. The journey was treacherous, but Elara's determination never wavered. With the help of a wise old hermit who lived in the mountains, she learned the secrets of the treacherous paths and finally found the elusive flower. The second task required Elara to capture the golden stag of the enchanted forest, a creature known for its speed and elusiveness. Elara sought the help of the animals she had once rescued, including the fox she had freed years ago. With their guidance, she tracked and gently captured the stag, proving that respect and kindness towards all creatures could achieve the impossible. The final task was the most daunting of all. Elara was asked to bring peace between 2 warring kingdoms, Arenthia and Baldur. The conflict had raged for decades, with countless lives lost. Elara traveled to both kingdoms, meeting with their leaders and listening to their grievances. Through her patience and wisdom, she helped them see that their differences could be resolved through dialogue and compromise. After weeks of negotiations, a peace treaty was signed, ending the long-standing feud. When Elara returned to Eldoria with news of her success, the villagers rejoiced. Her bravery and fairness had not only completed the impossible tasks, but also brought hope and unity to the land. News of Elara's triumphs spread far and wide. People from all corners of Fairwind began to see her as a beacon of hope and justice. Even King Aric could no longer ignore the impact of her deeds. Reluctantly, he honored his promise to reduce the taxes and ease the burden on the villagers. But Elara knew that true change required more than temporary relief. She sought a lasting solution to ensure fairness and justice for all. With the support of the villagers and the newfound alliances she had forged, she proposed a council where representatives from every village and town could come together to make decisions for the kingdom. King Aric, seeing the wisdom in her proposal, agreed to establish the Council of Fairwind. Elara was chosen as its first leader, and under her guidance, the council worked to create laws that ensured fairness and justice for all citizens. The council's decisions were based on the principles Elara had demonstrated: honesty, kindness, courage, and cooperation. As the years passed, Fairwind transformed into a kingdom where fairness and justice prevailed. The people lived in harmony, knowing that their voices were heard and their rights protected. Elara's legacy as a folk hero grew, and her story was told to children across the land, inspiring future generations to stand up for what was right. And so, in the kingdom of Fairwind, the spirit of Elara the Brave lived on, a testament to the power of fairness and the enduring impact of one courageous heart.